शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वसुदेवसुतं देवम् कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णम् वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. With the abundant blessings of our Acharya Swamiji, we have been able to go through Srimad Bhagavad Gita for the last so many weeks. Chapter 1 was Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Arjuna's grief and despair was itself considered yoga because it was a prelude to the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, because the grief and despair were not for any selfish purpose, but because of extreme compassion. Then chapter 2, we had an overview of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Mainly, Karma Yoga was discussed and Jnana Yoga to some extent, and Jnani's Lakshanas, Sthita Prajna's Lakshanas, characteristics were discussed. Chapter 3, we are now in the very last shloka, Karma Yoga. We have discussed so many aspects of Karma Yoga. Now, Krishna was explaining the importance of various faculties that we are endowed with, starting with Indriyas, then Manas, then Buddhi, then Buddhehe Paratastu Saha. Atma is the superior even to Buddhi, he said. Now he says, he is closing the teaching on Karma Yoga with the final instruction, a summary. Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanamaatmana jahi shatram mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Evam, in the manner which I have explained. Buddhehe param buddhva. What is buddhehe param? Something which is superior to buddhi. He said, buddhehe paratastu saha, and saha he meant atma. So, buddhehe param buddha, knowing that which is superior to buddhi, superior to intellect, which is atma. That means knowing atma. Samstabhya atmanam atmana. Samstabhya, bringing under control, restraining. Atmanam, the mind, restraining the mind through the atma. First atma refers to mind. Second atma can also refer to mind, but it is better to understand it as atma, because evam buddhe param buddha, he said. Knowing atma, using that atma to control the mind. That means knowledge of atma. We have been seeing atma's characteristics. It is avyaya, it is avinashi, etc., right from chapter 2. So, knowing that, you should use that knowledge, you should use that perception, that experience to control the mind with that knowledge. Samstabhya atmanam atmanam. But in between, there are a lot of enemies. Main enemy is kama. And he has been saying a lot about that. So he is closing saying, Hey Mahabaho, Kamarupam Durasadam Shatrum Jahi. The enemy who is in the form of kama, in the form of desire, Durasadam, he agrees. It is not easy to control. Very difficult to catch hold of. Durasadam is difficult to catch hold of because it is so subtle. It is like a thief who enters our house without our knowledge. That is what he is trying to say. Very subtle. You never know when Kama has entered our mind. What we have done, driven by Kama. We are doing so many things driven by Kama, but we don't even recognize them. Kama is at the back of all this action in a very subtle motivator. So he says, That is why he says, Durasadam, difficult to catch hold of, difficult to reach. That kama, that Shatru, Jahi, kill that. You must destroy that enemy. The enemy should never be allowed to flourish. He should be destroyed in full, in totality. Don't leave a trace of that enemy because that enemy will come back, particularly the enemy like Kama. So he says, Jahi, destroy. So that is the essence of Karma Yoga, that is destruction of desire. Now he says here, Durasadam dukkhena asadaha asadanam praptihi yasyatam. Difficult to catch hold of. Durvigneya aneka vishesham. That is how Shankara qualifies that. Durvigneya aneka vishesham. That means it comes in so many forms. So it is even difficult to recognize. Forget about controlling and destroying. Durvigneya. It is difficult to recognize, difficult to find out. Aneka vishesham, because it comes in so many forms. So he says, kill that enemy, be on alert. So with that, this chapter comes to a close. इति श्रीमत् परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य गोविंद भगवत्पूज्य पादशिष्य श्रीमत् शंकर भगवतः कृतौ श्रीमद् भगवद गीता भाष्ये कर्म प्रशंसा योग नाम तृतीयोऽध्यायः. Karma prashamsa is another name which some commentators use instead of karma yoga. Karma prashamsa means saying something in praise of karma, because the whole chapter is in praise of karma. Now, Madhusudana Saraswati, the great commentator, Advaita Vedantist, he summarizes the whole chapter 3, in one shloka. He says, Upaya karmanishthatra pradhanyena upasamhrita upeya jnananishthatu tadgunatvena kirtita. Karmanishta is the upaya, is the means. Engaging in karma with dedication, nishtha. How to dedicate? He has told us. Dedicate the karma, to dedicate the fruit to Ishvara, etc., etc. So using, that is why it's called karma nishtha. So he says that is the main means. Pradhanyena upasamhrita, that has been dealt with as the prime means in this chapter. If something is means, something is the goal, isn't it? If the karmanishta is the means, what is the goal? Upeja jnananishta tu tadgunatvena kirtita. Jnananishta is the upaya. Upeya. Karmanishta is the upaya, the means. Jnananishta is upeya. Upeya means the goal. You have to reach jnananishta, understand Atma and become one with Atma. Forget about everything else. That is jnananishta. Getting established in jnana, getting established in Atma jnana. So that is the goal. Now to reach that, follow this path of karma yoga with karma nishtha. Tad gunatvena kirtita. It has been clearly brought out how karma nishtha will lead to jnana nishtha. Tad gunatvena kirtita. That process has been explained in this chapter. The main points covered in the, there are many. We will have a look at very few basic fundamental points. One is all karma and all fruits of karmas should be dedicated to Ishvara. Yajnartha karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. And also the doership of karma should be renounced. Then, in order to avoid kama and krodha, desire and anger, you have to control, restrain sense organs, mind and intellect. And do not get into the habit of akarma, because karma is difficult. So I will lapse into akarma, inaction. That is not an option. Then whether karma yoga will lead to jnana nishtha? Yes. Janaka is an example. Will lead to jnana and liberation. Now, having reached the stage of jnana, is it necessary to drop karma? This question was discussed. It depends on your mentality, he said. Depends on your mental makeup. You can either drop or you need not drop. Dropping should be on its own. You don't drop, the karma will drop on its own. So he said, it is not necessary to drop karma. If your mentality is to continue with karma, like Janaka did, and the karma should be for the welfare of the world. It should not be for any selfish purpose, except for maintenance of the body, which also should be kept to the minimum. Yadriksha labha santushtaha. Whatever comes your way, you use that to your benefit. Do not guide ignorant people in Karma Yoga. This was another lesson which was told to us. Having become a jnani, do not guide ignorant people in Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga is a very tough beginning. To dedicate everything to Ishvara, to not look for the fruit, that is the most difficult thing. All of us realize that. So he says, don't confuse the ordinary man. Let him do his job, but let him do it as per dharma. That you have to take care. Because he said, stick to Swadharma. Swadharma's importance was mentioned. Swadharme nidharam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavakyaha. So, stick to Swadharma, and Jnani should show the way by sticking to Swadharma and make people engage in Swadharma, even though they may not engage in Karma Yoga. Now we move on to Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, that is chapter 4. That is the same thing which we have just now mentioned. Karma sannyasa, dropping of karmas, renouncing karmas. Once you get jnana, through the means of jnana, you drop the karma. This is the subject. This has just been mentioned in the last chapter. It is going to be mentioned in greater detail. Now, this one summary sentence, Shankara starts this chapter with, Yaha ayam yogaha adhyaya dvayena uktaha. This, what we are now going to discuss, is already covered in the last two chapters. Jnana nishtha lakshanaha sasanyasaha karma yoga upayaha. That's not what Madhusudana Saraswati summarized in the previous sloka. Same. The characteristics of jnana nishtha were mentioned. Sasanyasaha karma yoga upayaha. Karma yoga is the means. And once you have reached the sannyasa stage, that means dropping the karma stage, that is jnana nishtha. Yasminne vedarthaha parisamaptaha. The entire goal of Veda comes to an end here. The goal is reached once you have reached jnana nishtha. Pravritti lakshanaha, nivritti lakshanascha. Now the two paths are being covered again. Whether you have followed the path of pravritti, whether you have followed the path of nivritti. That is, right from the beginning, there are some who are born as jnanis. We saw that, like Sanaka, etc. They have never indulged in karma, they will never engage in karma. So they are in the nivritti marga. Pravritti is for all others who will go through the karma path. For all of them, the final goal is jnana nishtha. Gita Sija Sarvasu Ayameva Yogo Vivakshitaha Bhagavata. This is the only yoga which has been explained by Bhagavan in all of Bhagavad Gita, in all the chapters. Like that, he starts saying that since Jnana is supreme, Bhagavan extols it, praises it in this chapter. That is how he starts. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manurikshagave Bravit. Whatever has been discussed by Bhagavan so far, you should not think that it is something which he has brought out of his hat all of a sudden. No, this is there since ages. This is nothing new. But since this has been forgotten over time, I am now teaching you. So he says, from when? From the beginning of creation. Who taught? I only taught. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam. Imam avyayam yogam. This yoga, avyayam, which never changes, which never decays. No decay, no change. This yoga. It's not as if this yoga is applicable only to Kali Yuga, is applicable only to Krita Yuga, is applicable only to a particular set of circumstances. No, it is applicable at all times, in all circumstances. That is why Avyayam. Imam Avyayam Yogam Aham Vivasvate Proktavam. I taught this yoga to Surya. Vivasvan is Surya. Surya is the first of the created beings. He is the son of Manu. He is the father of Manu. He says, Vivaswan Manave Praha Manu Rikshagave Brabit. Because Surya is the son of Kashyapa, one of the early creations. Vivaswan Manave Praha. And what I taught to Surya, Surya taught this to Manu. Manu Rikshagave Brabit. Manu in turn taught this to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku is the first king in the lineage of Rama. Ramachandra comes later on in the same lineage. Ikshvaku was the first king. That is why he says, Manuhu Ikshvakave Abravit. This was told to Ikshvaku by Manu. This here, Adi Shankara mentions a few concepts, though like a story it reads simple, but there are hidden concepts which he is bringing out. He says, why it was taught to Manu and why it was taught to Ikshvaku. It could have been taught to so many others. It was taught to a Kshatriya. तेन हि योगबलेन युक्ताः समर्थाः भवन्ति ब्रह्म परिरक्षितुम्. Because Kshatriyas are charged with the responsibility of protecting the society. And this yoga is meant for protecting the society. To whom will I teach? I will teach to a Kshatriya only. So Manu and Ikshvaku, the Kshatriya line I chose. तेन योगबलेन युक्ताः समर्थाः भवन्ति ब्रह्म परिरक्षितुम्. With strengthened by this yoga, these Kshatriyas will be able to protect the society. Mainly they will protect the Brahmanas. Why Brahmanas? Brahma Kshatri Paripalayatum Alam. Once Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are protected, the whole society gets protected. That is what Shankara says. Brahma Kshatri Paripalayatum Alam. It is enough if these two groups are strengthened to protect the entire society, because they are the leaders of the society. One is charged with the duty of protecting the society, the other is charged with the knowledge which guides the society. So, Avyayam, he is explaining the word Avyayam. Nahi asya yogasya samyak darshana nishtha lakshanasya mokshachyam phalam vyeti. Why it is Avyayam? This yoga itself is Avyaya. This is the path. The path itself is Avyaya. Because the path leads to jnana, samyak darshana nishtha lakshanasya. The jnana nishtha, it leads to that. What is the final fruit? Moksha akhyam phalam vedi. It leads you to the final goal of moksha. So it is Avyaya. Undecaying. So, imam vivasvate yogam proktavan ahamavyayam vivasvam manave praha madurikshvakave bravit. Evam parampara praptamimam rajarshyo viduhu sakaleneha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Okay, it was taught to Ikshvaku. Then what happened? Evam parampara praptam imam. This yoga, which was taught through that lineage from Ikshvaku to his son, from his son to his son, and so on. Parampara, in that lineage, in that tradition, not only the kingly tradition, it also was taught to other disciples of Brahmanas. Evam parampara praptam, evam rajarshayo viduhu. All rajarshis, they knew this. They knew this yoga. Not all kings. Raja Rishi. Because if you are only a Raja, you may not follow this path truly, sincerely. If you are a Raja Rishi, in fact, you are called a Raja Rishi only because you have been following this path, like Janaka, for example. So, that is why he is using the term Raja Rishi. So, all Raja Rishis knew this, but सकालेन यह महता योगः नष्टः परन्तप महता कालेन due to lapse of long time on this earth सः योगः नष्टः this yoga has undergone decay, it has been destroyed. Hey Parantapa, hey scorcher of foes, that is the meaning of that is addressed to Arjuna. So why this got decayed? Now Shankara gives a beautiful explanation for that. Durbalan ajitendriyan prapya nashtam yogam imam upalabhya lokam cha apurushartha sambandhinam. It was given in the hands of weak people, those who have not conquered their sense organs. So the yoga became destroyed. In that bargain, lokam che apurushartha sambandhinam, the entire world got detached from the pursuit of purusharthas, the four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. At least moksha should be kept in mind. There is the fourth purushartha. And by following the path of dharma, you should reach that. This concept, basic concept, was also lost sight of by the entire world. Lokam cha apurushartha sambandhinam, because of this knowledge of karma yoga having been given to people who are weak and who did not conquer their sense organs, yoga itself got decayed, destroyed in due course. That is how beautifully Shankara explains it. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तमिमं राजर्षयो विदुः सकालेनेह महता योगो नष्टः परन्तप तयैवायं मया तेज्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे तथा चेति रहस्यं हेतदुत्तमम्. Now the same yoga I have taught you, same, without any change. Sayeva, that same yoga, maya te adye proktaha. Today it has been told to you. How is this yoga? Puratana, ancient, right from the days of Surya. Whatever yoga I have taught, same yoga I have taught you today. Why I taught you today? Why I chose you? I could have taught this to someone else. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. Etat uttamam rahasyam. This is a secret, a high level of secret. And if you take uttamam as a separate word, this is a very superior knowledge. And it's also a secretive knowledge, mysterious knowledge. Secretive, mysterious, and highest level of knowledge. I taught you. Why? Because you are my bhakta and you are my sakha. 2 points he brings out. You are my devotee and you are my friend. In fact, Arjuna fulfills both the qualifications. That is why Bhagavan himself is giving him the certificate. You are my devotee, you are my sakha. That is why I have taught you this. Because it cannot be taught to a person who is not a devotee because he will not listen with attention. If he is a friend, it is even better because he will know that I am interested in his welfare. Bhakta also knows. But Sakha has got is closer to Bhakta can stand at a distance. But Sakha will not stand at a distance. He will come and sit very close. That is why he is using both. You are a very person close to my heart, dear to my heart, and also you are my devotee. Because closeness does not mean freedom to misbehave, freedom to disobey, freedom to dishonor. That Sakha might do, but you are also a bhakta. So, bhakto me sakha cha iti. You are my devotee and also you are my friend. So, rahasyam he taduttamam, the superior knowledge, this mysterious, esoteric, secretive knowledge has been given to you. अर्जुन उवाच अपरं भवतो जन्म परं जन्म विवस्वतः कथमेतद्विजानीयां त्वमादौ प्रोक्तवानिति. Very simple question Arjuna asks. He says, aparam bhavato janma param janma vivaswataha. Surya was born long, long ago, param. And your birth is known to all of us. You were born recently to Devaki and Vasudeva. Aparam bhavato janma. Your janma is recent. Param janma vivaswataha. Surya's janma was long, long ago. Kathametad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. Etate tvam adau proktavan. This yoga was brought to Surya by you only in those days, adau, at the beginning. How to understand this? Katham vijaniyam. That you are the same person who taught him. You are the same person who is teaching me. Because you say, I taught him. But this is a very silly question put by Arjuna, because Arjuna knows very well the answer. But why he put this question? For the sake of ignorant people, Bhagavan, Shankara himself explains it like this. Bhagavata viprati시ddham uktam iti mabhut kasyachati buddhihi iti pariharartham chodyam evam kurvanne. Arjuna uvacha. Let no one think that Bhagavan is guilty of self-contradiction. Because how can he be the same person who taught to Surya? So there's a contradiction. In order to drive home this point, Arjuna posed this question. He says that. And again, he said this at the beginning of the shloka, then again at the close of the shloka, Arjuna confirms it once, Shankara confirms it once again. Ya Vasudeve Anishwara Asarvagya Asanka Murkhana Tam Pariharanna Sri Bhagavan Vacha Yadarthavaki Arjunasya Prashnaha. Arjuna had asked this question on behalf of murkhas, on behalf of foolish people who will have the doubt, ashanka, aneshwara asarvajna. This person who is now standing in front of us as Krishna, he is not Ishvara, he is not Sarvajna, he is not the omniscient, all-knowing Ishvara, Aneshwara asarvajna. That doubt will come to anyone without, because he was behaving like an ordinary human being, isn't it? All his Bala Leela has been seen by so many people. So how will they believe that he is the Ishvara who taught this yoga to Surya? Any ordinary person will think like that. In order to quell this doubt in the minds of murkhas, the foolish people, Arjuna had yadarthaha hi Arjunasya prashnaha. Tam pariharanna Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Because Bhagavan wanted to settle this doubt once and for all, he gives the answer, he says. Sayevayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam he taduttamam. Arjuna Vacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathametad vijaniyam pramadau proktavaniti. Shri Bhagavan Vacha bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vedha parantapa. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava Arjuna. For you as well as me, both of us, there is one thing in common to both of us. That is, we have passed through a lot of births. I have taken birth so many times. You have also taken birth so many times. Now, very interestingly, he starts this discussion. Bahuni, Vyatitani, they have been spent. Lot of janmas have come and gone. Tavacha, yours as well as me, for me. For me as well as for you. Hey Arjuna, what is the difference then? Tanyaham Veda Sarvani. I know all of them. All the janmas which I have taken so far, I know all of them. Because if you see Shastras, what we call a Dashavatara, in fact, Dashavatara is a very restricted view. If you see Srimad Bhagavatam, they are talking about 28 avatars. And they are saying that there are many, many more avatars. 28 are important. Then they say 10 are most important, like that. Now, all these avatars, 10 or whatever number, they repeat in every cycle of creation. Rama and Krishna are born every time, during every Chaturyuga. So, this is innumerable number of births. He says, that is why he says, Sanyaham Veda Sarvani. All those births I know. If you ask me for a particular kalpa, in that kalpa were you born as Rama, what did you do? I will answer that, because I know that. Natvam Vedha Parantapa. Whereas you don't know even the last janma of yours. Tvam na Vedha. You don't know. You don't know anything about your janmas, whereas I know about all my births. That is the difference between you and me. Now, Adi Shankara, he has got an analytical view of all the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. He goes into details. So here he says, why? Why Arjuna doesn't know? Why Bhagavan knows? Natvam vedha dharma dharmadi pratibadha jnana shaktitvat. Everybody would know, in fact, if you are sticking to dharma. Dharma adharma adi pratibadha jnana shaktitvat. Your jnana shakti is impounded, is obstructed because of your proclivity to engage in dharma as well as adharma, mix of dharma and adharma. Pratibadha jnana shaktitvat. Jnana shakti is obstructed. Whereas Vasampanaha nitya suddha buddha mukta swabhavat anavarana jnana shakti. Whereas in my case, the same jnana shakti which you possess, see, jnana shakti is the same. It is not different between Arjuna and Krishna. Jnana shakti is the same. In my case, anavarana, there is no concealment. There is no concealment. It is not hidden. Whereas in your case, it is hidden by ajnana. Whereas in my case, there is nothing to hide. Why? Aham panaha nitya shuddha buddha mukta svabhava. This is a very common expression used to describe jnanis, describe Bhagavan. Nitya shuddha buddha mukta. Ever pure, ever knowledgeable Buddha. Ever pure, ever knowledgeable. That means the knowledge is constant, eternal. Mukta, ever liberated, no bondage. He may look as if he is a human frame. Krishna looks like every other human being. But is he a human being? Is he bound by that human body? No. Mukta, he is ever liberated. In fact, this description, Nitya Suddha Buddha Mukta Subhavat, applies to all jnanis. All jnanis have the same, not only Bhagavan. All jnanis who have reached that level, they come under this category. They are eternally pure, they are eternally knowledgeable, and they are eternally liberated. And they also have the same power, like now, like what Bhagavan mentioned. Tanyaham Veda Sarvani, he said, I know all those birds. Similarly, Jnani also knows. Jnanis, they know all their previous births, not only that, they know all the previous births of yours also. If you go and ask him, he will tell you all your 100 births back, what was I? He will tell you. Because he is able to see. He is able to see in the screen of his mind everything. Patanjali says this in Yoga Sutra. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. He defines all this. How all these powers accrue to a jnani because of yoga. He explains it. So, that is what Adi Shankara explains here, saying, Because of continuous spurting of Jnana Shakti, I am able to recollect all my janmas, whereas your Jnana Shakti is concealed, so there is no question of your being able to recollect your births. So that is why you are asking this question. Very interesting answer he gives. Then he continues. Ajopi sannavvyayatma bhutanameshwaropi sanne prakritim swam adhishthaya sambhavam atmamayaya. Why I take birth? Why I should take avatar? He is explaining that here. The next question can be that, isn't it? Bhuni me vyatidani, he is saying. Why you take so many avatars? There is a reason. Ajopi sannavvyayatma. Even though I take various types of avatars, Ajaha api sanne, I am ever unborn. I am ever unborn and I undergo no change. I undergo no change. Avyaya Atma. My personality, there is no change. Bhutanam Ishvaro Pisanna. And I am also the Ishvara of all the beings. I am the Lord of all the beings. All the beings are created by me. All the beings are protected by me. All the beings are destroyed by me in time, absorbed in me in time. So that is the Ishvara. I am the Ishvara. See, he is giving three important points here. I am unborn. There is no birth for me. And there is no change in my characteristic. It is after birth, can some change take place? That is the question you will ask. I was never born. There is no change in me. And I am the Lord of all the beings. Still, in spite of that, Bhutanam Eshwarha api, even though Prakritim swam adhishthaya sambhavam atmamayaya. I have a power called Prakriti. Swam Prakritim. That Prakriti belongs to me. Prakriti is Maya Shakti. Prakriti is interpreted as Maya Shakti. So, Mama Vaishnavim Mayam Trigunatmikam. That is how Adi Shankara explains it. That Prakriti. Mama Vaishnavim Mayam Trigunatmikam. That Maya which is a part of Vishnu, Trigunatmika. It is of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That is the constituents of Maya. Using that, Yasyaha Vashe Sarvam Idam Jagat Vartate. The entire creation is in the grip of these three gunas, is in the grip of Prakriti. Yaya Mohitam Jagat Satu Swam Atmanam Vasudevam Na Janati. He says, Shankara says this. Yaya Mohitam Jagat. This whole world is deluded by this Maya. Swam Atmanam Vasudevam Na Janati. Every human being, every living being, Atma is the same Vasudeva. In fact, the meaning of the word Vasudeva is, it is equally present in all beings. That is the meaning of the word Vasudeva. Vasanad Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhuvanatrayam Sarvabhuta Nivasosi Vasudeva Namostute. Vasanad Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhuvanatrayam. All the three words, everywhere you are pervading. That is why you are known as Vasudeva, he says in the postscript of Vishnu Sahasranama. So, the same thing he says, Swam Atmanam Vasudevam Na Janadi. Everybody's Atma is same Vasudeva, but they don't realize that because of this Maya. So, that Maya is an inherent power in me. Prakritim Swam Adhishthaya, using that power which is there with me, Atma Mayaya Sambhavami, using that power which is always inherent in me, I give a form to myself, Sambhavami. Actually, I am born, that is the meaning. But here, birth and death are not for Bhagavan, so it means he takes a form. Now, Anadi Maya eve Madhupadi Bhuta Yavat Kala Sthapitvene Nitya Jagatkaranatva Sampadika Madikshayaiva Pravartamana Visuddha Tattvam Ayatvena Mama Murtihi. This is the detailed explanation given by Madhusudana Saraswati. He says, Madhupadi Bhuta, Anadi Maya. This Maya is also beginningless. It is there along with Ishvara all the time. Yavat Kala Sthayitven. It is there all the time. It is not dependent on time. Jagat Karanatva Sampadika. That is the cause of the creation of the world, that Maya. Yadikshayaiva Pravartamana. And using that Maya only, the same Maya which creates the world, using that Maya, Vishuddha Tattvamayattvena Mama Murti. Only difference is this Maya which has taken the form of the world is having three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Whereas my Murti is only Sattva, Vishuddha Sattvamayattvena. Purest Sattva. That is the difference. Manmayaive mama manushyatwadi pratitihi lokanugrahaye na vastuvritya yati bhavaha. Because of my Maya, I look like a human being. Manushyatwadi pratitihi, the appearance, like a Manushya. Why? Lokanugrahaya. This is only for blessing the world, only for helping the world. Na vastuvritya. Don't think it is a true presentation, true appearance. This appearance of human being is not a true appearance. It's not like other human beings. Janma vyayaha tatu ubhayam dharma vashatu bhavati dharma vashatvam nivarayati. This birth and change. Adopisan avyayatma, he said, isn't it? One is the birth, another is vikara, changes. Both here negativity. He says, I don't have a change, I am not having any birth. Tadupayam dharma vashate bhavati. Whereas both these happen to ordinary people. Both ordinary people are born, ordinary people undergo change. Why? Dharma vashate bhavati. Previously we saw, isn't it? Because of the combination of dharma and adharma, this jnana shakti was lost. Similarly, this vyaya is also happening, this change. Whereas dharma vashatvam nivarayati. He is not subject to dharma and adharma, so there is no change in him. That is why Madhusudana Saraswati very nicely goes into detail. Sri Bhagavan Vache Bahoni Me Vyatitani Janmani Tavacharjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vedta Parantape Ajopi Sanna Vyayatma Bhutanam Ishwaropi Sanna Prakritim Swam Adhishthaya Sambhavam Yatmamaya. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvhavati bharata abhyutthanamαδharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. How does he choose the time of his incarnation, of his appearance? Whenever there is a decline in dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. Dharmasya glanihi. There is a decline, there is a decay in dharma. Whenever it happens, tada atmanam srijamyaham. I create myself at that point of time. I create means what? I give a form to myself. Because Bhagavan, if he doesn't take the form, what is his natural state? Nirguna nirakara parabrahma swarupam. Isn't it? No qualities, no form. That is his natural state. Nirguna nirakara. But he takes the guna, takes the akara, he takes the form, he assumes sattva guna. Only when he takes this form, for what purpose? Abhyutthanam adharmasya. For the sake of protecting dharma. Whenever there is a decline in dharma, whenever there is abhyutthanam adharmasya, whenever there is a rise in adharma, he is mentioning both. There is a decline in dharma, there is a rise in adharma. The decline in dharma is not the only condition he is putting for his appearance. He is also saying adharma is going up. Of course, both go together. Decline in dharma is simultaneous with rise in adharma, but he is mentioning it clearly, without any sense of doubt. It is not as if there is the decline in dharma, but there is no adharma also. It's not like that. Because the dharma and adharma are all driven by desire. Everything is desire ridden. The whole world is desire ridden. That he has mentioned again and again. So why there is a decline in dharma? Why there is a proclivity to do adharma? Because of desire, isn't it? You are not able to control your mind. The mind goes astray into desires. So adharma is the natural corollary of decline in dharma. That is what he is saying. Decline in dharma, simultaneously abhyuthanam adharma rises. Then I create myself. Why I create myself? परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. For protecting the virtuous, विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां, for destroying the evil people, protecting the virtuous people, destroying the evil people, both are required. That is why he mentioned earlier also, dharmasya glani adharmasya abhyuthanam. There are some people who are wedded only to adharma. Even then, there are some people wedded to dharma. They have to be protected. And those people who are wedded to adharma have to be rooted out. So that's why both are mentioned separately. Well, having done these two jobs, is it enough? No. Why did it happen? Because of a proclivity to do adharma that has crept into the society. The tendency must be removed. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. Dharma has to be established on a firm footing. It should not be on a weak footing. Because it was on a weak footing, there are very few people who follow dharma. Many people have gone into the path of adharma. I have to destroy all those people who follow the path of adharma, and I have to protect these few people who follow dharma. And I have to see also that this situation does not recur again and again. So I have to establish dharma on a firm footing. Now, when he says dharmasya, the varnashramadi lakshanasya praninam abhyudaye nishreyasa sadhanasya. Why it is called dharma? Dharma means something which supports. Dharanad dharmayatyahu dharmo dharayati prajaha. This is the definition of dharma in Mahabharata. Dharanat dharmayatyahu, because it supports the citizens, because it supports all the people. That is why it is called dharma. Dhr, dharana, it supports. Dharmo dharayati prajaha, it supports all the people. So he says, varnashramadi lakshanasya praninam abhyudaye nishreyasa sadhanasya. This dharma has got the characteristics of varnashrama. There is a dharma associated with a varna, with an ashrama. Of course, apart from common dharmas, they are irrespective of varnashrama. That is there for everybody, like truth, like non-violence, satyam, ahimsa, etc. They are all there. Dasakam dharma lakshana Mano says in Manusmriti. He lists 10 points. Shaucham, etc., purity, etc. Aparigraha, non-covetousness, etc. Now, apart from those basic dharmas which are common to everyone, there are special dharmas associated with varna and ashrama. So he says, varnashramadi lakshanasya praninam abhyudaye nishreyasa sadhanasya. Why we should follow dharma? Because abhyudaye nishreyasa sadhanasya. It is the means of your prosperity in this world, and it is the means of being on the path to attain moksha. Abhyudaya is prosperity in this world. Nishreyasa is spiritual advancement on the path to moksha. Both are possible if you stick to good varnashrama dharmas as well as those basic dharmas, common dharmas. Now, Madhusudana Saraswati also says the same thing in different words. Dharma hi sthapite jagadeva sthapitam bhavati. Why dharma should be established? He says, no, dharma samsthapanarthaya. By establishing dharma, the entire world gets protected. Jagadeva sthapitam bhavati. Anyatha Bhinna Maryadam Jagat Asangatam Vapadyeta. Otherwise, this world will not behave like an integrated unity. Bhinna Maryadam. It will follow different codes, and by following different codes, asangatam, it will be looking like a disintegrated. Finally, the whole world will get disintegrated. We are seeing it now in front of our eyes. That is what Madhusudan Saraswati also explains. So, now, if you look at Ramayana, Ramanavami is going to come next month. If you look at Ramayana, the entire story of Ramayana is within the first few years of Rama's life. Within the first few years of Rama's life, I think he was 26 or so, 28 or 26 when he went to the forest. Another 14 years, maybe 40, 42. By that time, Ramayana is over. When he returned from the forest, he became a king. But he lived 11,000 years, isn't it? We are talking about first 42 years, but he lived on this earth for 11,000 years. That is this Dharma Samsthapanartha. Because great commentators have mentioned this, that Rama's example is an example of Dharma Samsthapana. He wanted to establish Dharma on a firm footing. That is why he spent 11,000 years after Ravana Vadham. So, these two shlokas are very famous, very celebrated. Everyone knows. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. Now he is extending this concept of dharma and karma. He said, why I take birth? One. Second is what I do after taking birth. One is dharma, another is karma. Now, dharma karma cha me divyam, my divine dharma, my divine karma, because it belongs to him, not to ordinary human being. So it is divyam, it is divine. Divyam Dharma, Divyam Karma. Evam yo vetti tattvataha. The way I have explained, evam. Yo vetti tattvataha. The one who understands in reality, in truth, the purpose of my birth, the purpose of my actions. Janma, karma cha me divyam. They are both divine. Evam yo vetti tattvataha. One who understands this the way I have explained properly. त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. The deham त्यक्त्वा, after dropping this body, punarjanma nayeti. He does not have to return to this earth. No punarjanma for him. He is not reborn. Once he understands this janma and karma, after dropping this body, he will not come. Then where he will go? Mam yeti. Punarjanma nayeti. Mam yeti. He will not be reborn and he will attain me. Mam yeti. He will come to me. Mam yeti Sorjuna. Saha means that person. Who Yaha Saha. Yo veti, he said, na, so Saha. So, what is this Janma and Karma? Janma is because of Maya. Janma Maya Rupam. Shloka 7 was mentioning that. And what is karma? Karma cha sadhunam paritranadi. Shloka 8. Protect the sadhus, etc., etc. Now, both, if people understand, they will not be reborn. What is the meaning of understanding? All of us have understood. No, this is bookish understanding. It means you should become one with this concept. Hare Bhagavan has taken avatara for our sake. And Bhagavan is acting for our sake. If you really understand it that way, you will inherit all the qualities of Bhagavan. You will not go to mundane activities. So you will get into jnana quickly. That is what he means. The meaning is you will develop a distaste for all the worldly activities. Once you have developed a taste for Bhagavan's dharma and Bhagavan's karma. That is what he is saying. Madhusudana Saraswati also mentions the same thing. Ajasyapi mayaya janmanukaranam. Even though I am unborn, because of my using my maya, I look as if I am born. Akartuhu api paranugrahaya karmanukaranam. Akartuhu api. I don't do anything, but it looks as if I am doing something. That is a concept nicely brought out here. Akartuhu api. I don't do anything, but it looks as if I am doing something for the welfare of the world. Paranugrahaya karmanukaranam. Iti evam yo vedi. If somebody understands this point, that means Bhagavan takes birth because of Maya. Bhagavan is not doing anything, but he appears to be doing something for our welfare. If he knows that, Saha Atmanaha api tattvaspuranat, because he will realize that in his own Atma. He will not say Bhagavan is somebody, I am somebody else. No, he will think, he will realize, he will perceive that his own Atma is same as Bhagavan's. Atmanaha api tattvaspuranat. Tyaktva deham imam punarjanma nayati samsarat muchyate. So that is the way it has been explained. Now, is there anybody who has followed this path and what you said just now, path of no return? They come to me, he said, isn't it? Yes, Vedara Gabaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashritaha Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Madbhavamagataha Bahavaha, not one or two, many people. Don't worry about this concept. This is available to many people. It has been proved by many people. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodhaha. Those who have got rid of attachment, raga, those who have got rid of fear, those who got rid of anger, these are the basic things. Because in the previous sloka he said, no, Janma Karma, having understood Tattvataha, the truth, the purpose of his birth and the purpose of his actions. The truth, if you have understood in truth, you will automatically be in this category of having got rid of attachment, got rid of fear, and got rid of anger. Manmaya, they will be entirely of my form. Manmaya means they will entirely of my form. There is nothing other than they are same as me. That is Manmaya. Mamupasritaha, they will take complete refuge in me. They will not bother about worldly things. Their entire refuge will be in me. Jnana tapasa putaha madbhavamagataha. By repeated churning of this knowledge, that is jnana tapas. By repeated meditation, contemplation of this knowledge, putaha, they become purified because this raga, bhaya and krodha may show their heads occasionally because you are still a human being. So that is why he is putting this across. Jnana tapasa putaha. You have to continuously be doing tapas of jnana. By continuous meditation of Bhagavan's Janma and Karma, by doing that tapas, you are purifying yourself. Then what happens? Madbhavam agataha. They become same as me. Madbhavam agataha. They, they acquire the characteristics of mind. Madbhavam agataha. Bahavaha. Many people have come like this. Many have attained my status, Madbhavam agataha. Manmayaha has been explained by Shankara, Brahmavidaha, Ishwarabheda Darshanaha, Kevala Jnana Nishthaha. Those who have known Brahman, Parabrahman, Ishwara Abheda Darshanaha, that they understand that they are no different from Ishwara, Kevala Jnana Nishthaha, they are established only in Jnana. Jnanam tapasa, jnanamevacha paramatma vishayam tapaha tena. Constant meditation on Paramatma, that is jnana. Itara tapo nirapeksha jnana nishthaha. Jnana tapasa means they will not do tapas, because tapas is the word which we commonly see in Puranas, isn't it? Somebody does tapas for 1,000, 10,000 years. And what was his purpose? To destroy devas, isn't it? A lot of asuras do tapas. So we are not talking about that kind of tapas. So he is saying, Itara tapo nirapeksha jnana nishtha. Not caring for other types of tapas, and they are established only in jnana. Now, I'll take a few more minutes because I want to close this particular sloka, having started this. And tomorrow, anyway, we are not having this lecture. Tomorrow, Sunday morning, 7 a.m., our usual lecture we have cancelled because of Yogadi tomorrow. So I'll take a few more minutes and before I close this shloka. There is a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, very first chapter, when Sota starts teaching Srimad Bhagavatam to Shaunaka and other rishis. He pays his respects to Shuka Brahman. Very important, beautiful shloka. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam. Dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhave. Putreti tanmayata tarabodhineduhu. Tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. This is a reference to a story. Shuka, at a very young age, even before Upanayanam, Anupetam, even before Upanayanam, young small boy, he became a sannyasi, Yam Pravrajantam. He left everything and behaved like a sannyasi. And he went away from his home. He left Vyasa and he went away. So one day when he was going like this, like a sannyasi, even before Upanayanam was done, Vyasa, because of his love of Putra Moha, he started following him, shouting, Sukha, Sukha, Sukha. By that time he had gone. He felt very sad. Apeta Krityam, Dvaipayanaha, Virahakatara Ajuhava, Apeta Krityam. He had left everything, no Kritya for him, no more activities for him. He behaved like a sannyasi, that's Sukha. Dvaipayanaha, that is our Vyasa. Virahakatara, he was worried about separation from, he was distressed on separation from Shuka. So he started shouting, Putre itadan mayata tadaravodineduhu. Hey Putra, 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 he started shouting Shuka, Shuka, and he went ahead. At that time, Shuka had gone out of sight, no reply from him. But all the trees, they replied. Whatever he said, Putra, Putra, they also said, repeated Putra, Putra. Tanmayatath Taravodineduhu Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. Why these trees reply? How they reply? Because Shuka has reached such a stage of jnana that he was one with the creation. His Atma is same as all the Sarvabhutatma, Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam. In all the beings, whatever Hridaya is there, that is same as me. That Atma is same as me. That realization he had reached. So, when Shuka was not there to give a reply, the trees took upon themselves to give this reply. Tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanasosmi tanmayata sataravaha ajined. So, this is an example of what we are now talking about. Manmayaha. Manmayaha, the Shuka is an example of that. Now, we will also have a look at Niti Shatakam. There is a shloka which brings out this aspect. He says, Vandhistasya jalayate jalanidhihi kulyayate takshanate meru swalpa shalayate mrigapatihi satyah purangayate vyalo malya gunayate visharasa piyusha varshayate. Yasyange khilaloka vallabhatamam shilam tamanmilati. How the whole world behaves in front of a jnani. In fact, here we are not even talking about a jnani. In this Niti Shataka, he is talking about an ordinary virtuous man, even for him. I mean, this is the path. The virtuous man is on the path of jnana, even for him. Yasyange Akhilaloka Vallabhatamam Sheelam Samunmelati. Akhilaloka Vallabhatamam is the most important phrase here. Like Sarvabhuta, Hridayam we said na for Shuka. Same way. He loves the entire creation and he is loved by the entire creation. That is that kind of Sheela, that kind of character he is having. That is shining in him, that person. Yasya ange samunmilati. For him, for such a person, Vandestasya jalayate. Agni is no longer hot for him. Agni is like a water. Jananithe kulyayate takshanat. The ocean is no longer a big water reservoir. It is like a small canal. There are stories that how Vyasa crossed Yamuna river when it was in spate. He crossed, just like he is crossing a road. So that is what he is talking about here. Meru swalpachalayate, mrigapatihi satyak kurangayate, Meru swalpachalayate. Meru, the greatest mountain, looks like a small hill for him. He can cross Meru in no time. In fact, Shuka did that. In another version of Shuka, there are two versions of Shuka. If you look at Mahabharata and if you look at Devi Bhagavatam, the story which we just discussed of Shuka is not mentioned there. It is a different Shuka there. He is prevailed upon by Vyasa to marry and he goes to Janaka. He goes to Janaka, Mithila, for advice. Because Vyasa said, if I am telling you, you are not listening, go to Janaka. Then he crossed Meru. I am remembering that context. He took 3 years because Vyasa had told him, don't use your yoga power, you should go by foot, on foot. So he crossed the 3 mountains. He took 3 years. First was Meru. Meru Swalpachilayate, Mrigapatihi Satyak Kurangayate. Lion becomes, Mrigapati is lion. Lion becomes like deer. Kuranga is deer in Sanskritam. Vyalo Malya Gunayate. Serpent becomes like a garland. Serpent becomes like a garland. Visharataha Piyusha Varshayate. Poison becomes like Amrita. Poison becomes like Amrita. Well, all these things happen to a man on the path of virtue. Shelam Tamanmelati. Now, he is not even talking about jnana here. He's talking about Shelam. So, even for him, if this is the case, what about jnani? That is the context. Vannistasya jalayate jananidhi kulyayate takshanate medusvalpachilayate mrigapati sadhyak kurangayate Vyalo malyaguna usharata piyusha varshayate yasyange khilaloka vallabhatamam sheelam samanmelati. So, Vitaraga Bhayat Krodha Manmaya Mamupashritaha Bhavo Jnanatapata Kuta Madbhavamachritaha Madbhavamagataha. So, we stop with this shloka number 10. We continue with shloka number 11 in our next session. Next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. As I said, tomorrow we are not meeting because of Yugadi. I extend my best wishes on the occasion of Yugadi to all of you. And we will meet again next Saturday at 7:30. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Shri Raja Rajeshwarye Jaya Jaya.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Guruji.